going to tell you a story. By the way, before I do, I want to again acknowledge the wisdom of your choice of your new spiritual leader is impeccable. I had a chance. I've never met Steve, but I had a chance to talk with him via email this last week, and his spirit is huge, and he brings I think some gifts for you that will really bring this community with your support. You had the wisdom to call him here. This is your call. And he answered it, and together you're going to create something so magnificent. You have not seen it, anything like it in this community. So congratulations for that.
Yes. It's a strap.
The strap.
Yeah.
Oh, it's coming off?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to drop your guitar. Yeah, this is Andy's guitar. I don't want to screw it up. Oh, my God. Don't mess with the maestro's instruments. As you'll see in a minute, that's not going to... Yeah. So my talk this morning is you turn off your cell phones if you'd like. If you don't and it goes off, you'll go directly to hell. So
do not pass go.
If there were such a place, right? So my talk this morning is, what would Buddha do? I'm glad that's up there to remind me of that. I've been a long-time champion of the philosophies of the East, and when I've read Ernest Holmes, I've noticed that Ernest Holmes incorporates a lot of the Eastern teachings in his philosophy. If you've studied the Buddhism or the Upanishads, the Vedic teachings, you'll see that the wisdom of those teachings show up in Holmes's writings all the time. And Buddha, as you may or may not know, was the founder of, or the teaching of Buddhism was created based on his teachings. And there's a great story that will set up what I want to talk about with you this morning, because it is the essential central component of the Buddhist teachings. And what would Buddha do? The question is, in any area of your life, whatever's going on, wherever you are, how would Buddha handle it? You remember a few years back there was the What Would Jesus Do bracelet you could wear? A similar concept. There's no disrespect to what Jesus would do, because I think Jesus and Buddha are probably very much in alignment with many of the same things. It's actually said that Jesus went and studied in the East for a few years, the lost years, and came back with some philosophies about that. But here's the story that I want to talk about. Buddha was sitting under the banyan tree, meditating. He had committed to staying put under the banyan tree until he received enlightenment. And Buddha's mission was to bring the awareness to the alleviation of suffering to humankind. And so Buddha is sitting there, and he would not budge from underneath that banyan tree until he received the enlightenment that he wanted to impart. And he sat there for days and weeks and so supposedly months without moving. And so his body became emaciated, and he lost his strength, and he was delusional, and he was having all the physical symptoms of ignoring his body. And all of a sudden, through the trees, he hears some arguing going on. And he drags himself over to the clearing, and in the clearing there are two musicians stringing an instrument. And they're arguing. The one musician is saying, no, the strings have to go tighter, 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 or they'll buzz and rattle. And the other musician would say, no, you have to go looser, 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 because then if they're too tight, they'll break. And so they're arguing back and forth, too tight, too loose, too tight, too loose. And Buddha observed this. He says, that's it. That was his moment of enlightenment. The middle pathway. Not too tight, not too loose, but in the middle. It's just right. The middle way of life. Not too in, not too out, not too up, not too down. In the middle. It's just right. The way to approach life with balance. Now, if you can imagine this guitar, Andy's guitar, which is in perfect tune, as your life. Okay? The guitar is the totality of your experience in life. And this guitar has 6 strings on it. And Andy, being the impeccable musician he is, it's tuned beautifully, okay? And so when a guitar or a stringed instrument is in perfect tune, you get beautiful tones. But, and like life, if your life is in tune, the instrument of your life performs beautifully. However, if some of the areas of your life are out of tune, let's say that the E string is your diet and exercise, okay? A string could be relationships. The D string could be your job and career, okay? You can name the different strings for all the different areas in your life where you're putting energy. You with me so far?
Yeah.
So let's say that your diet and exercise is not quite as tight as it could be. Huh? And let's say that your relationships are not, you're not quite putting as much intention into your relationships as you might want to. Afterwards, he's going to play a Chinese tune called tuning. Yes. And think of the D string as, well, your work. How about that? Your work and your career. Okay? And let's think of the he's saying, don't break. The G string won't break, don't worry. And how about your spirituality just a little flat. So pretty soon, if those different areas in your body are not in tune, not too much, not too little, but in the middle, just right, this is what you get. Pretty nasty, huh? So, that's enough of the guitar. I'll let you tune it, Andy, okay? He's very gracious to let me use his guitar to do that. I would never do that to my guitar. But primarily because my strings are about 8 years old on there. They'd probably break if I tried to tune it. At any rate, so here's the metaphor for that, the example of the guitar. That really is like our life. And if you think about it, life is divided into a triune unity, if you can think of it this way. Our lives consist of our spiritual nature, our mental nature, mental, emotional, and physical nature. Yeah? So we're triune beings. We're spirit, we're mind, and we're body. Can I get a witness? Okay, so if any one of those three areas are out of tune, the rest of the instrument called our life is going to be whacked out. So let's talk for just a couple minutes about spirituality in our lives. Now, the approach to all of this, Buddha taught the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness comes from the smriti. In Sanskrit, the word is smriti. What it means is remember to come back. And the question is, come back to what? Come back to the present moment. Because that's your point of creation. That's your point of power. The present moment. Mindfulness is bringing your mind back into your body. Have you ever noticed how your body is always present tense, but your mind is oftentimes out there wandering in the ether someplace, either the future or the past? So Buddha taught mindfulness and he taught balance. And when we are living mindfully, it's easy, much easier to bring our lives back into balance. Not too much, not too little, not too in, not too out, not too up, not too down, but in the middle. It's just right. And so in the aspect of our spiritual nature, one of the triune beings of unity, spirituality. Wow. How many of you try to be spiritual? You couldn't be any more spiritual if you tried, could you? But a lot of us struggle to have that spiritual experience, yeah? We struggle to meditate, and we go. We take all the classes and we do all the things to get ourselves mental acuity into alignment with spirituality. But the reality is, you couldn't be any more spiritual if you tried. On your worst day on the planet, you're still 100% spirit. Yeah. So the practice is to remember when we find ourselves obsessing about trying to be too spiritual, is to remember you couldn't be any more spiritual anyway. You're 100% spirit. But practicing mindfulness is the remembrance of the awareness of the presence of God in the moment. And it's not an obsessive thing. You don't have to obsess to do it. You can have a spiritual experience in the middle of the 405 freeway at grid hour. Okay? You could have, is there any less God present with you in the valley experience as to the mountaintop experience? You know, the mountaintop experience I'm talking about, blue skies, green lights, life is good, yay, I'm a spiritual being, thank you God. Yeah? But when we go into those valley times where between the peaks, where it gets a little dark, sometimes we go a little unconscious in the valleys, and it's pretty hard to remember the truth. So between the valleys and the peaks is the middle. So it's about remembering to remember to come back to that balance. God is, I am. I don't have to obsess about it, but I have to be mindful of it. I have to remember that that's the truth of my nature. And when we can live with a simple awareness that we are a spiritual being as well as a mental being and a physical being, we're more likely to honor the remembrance of that in our daily lives. Yeah? What does it look like to be a spiritual being? What does it look like to be a spiritual being? Well, go look in the mirror. Doesn't get any better than that. Spirit doesn't judge you based on how tall you are, or how short you are, or how fat you are, how skinny you are, how beautiful you are, how unattractive you think you are, or none of that matters. You couldn't be any more spiritual if you tried. So mindfulness brings you to the moment, to the point of awareness where you can tune your awareness. Oh yes, even in this unpleasant moment, even with all the horrible things going on in this moment, I'm going to bring myself up to the awareness that God is, I am. And to live in the mindfulness of that on a daily basis. You with me? Yeah. How are you breathing? Yeah, I ask that question a lot, I know, because it's the center core practice of what I teach, which is mindfulness. And when when you're breathing consciously, it anchors you in your body. It brings you back into your body when you can focus on your breath. So the second aspect of this balancing this spiritual, or the triune unity of spirit, mind, and body is, of course, our mind. You know you're a mental being, right? Do you ever watch your thoughts? Don Miguel Ruiz says we should stalk our thoughts. Have you ever had a thought chase you around like a pit bull nipping at your heels, a negative thought that you just couldn't get rid of? Anybody? Yeah. Okay, it's not just me. Okay, good. Sometimes we let our minds dominate us. We let them consume us. And with mindfulness, we can become the witness for what's going on in our minds. You know, we give ourselves permission to think a lot of thoughts that we don't really believe. But we think them habitually, over and over and over and repetitively, again and again and again. Why? Because they've worn a track in our subconscious. But with mindfulness, you can become the witness of your thoughts. You know that you're more than a thinker, right? Because you can observe your thought, right? Generally, you know how many thoughts you have in a day? Tens, I think thousands of thoughts a day. And the problem is 97% of them are the same ones you had yesterday. Why? Because you're not riding the horse. It's taking you. It's leading you. So with mindfulness, we can become the witness of our thoughts. And when we begin obsessing about thoughts, not too tight, not too much, not too tight, we can look at those thoughts and we can actually challenge them. And we say, wait a minute, thought. You're just a thought. You're not a thing. And then when you become aware of it, you can look at it and you challenge it and you take a breath and you say, where do you come from? Who gave you permission to be here? Where does your power come from? And if you're very conscious, you can say, what belief is sponsoring this thought? Because you can't have a thought other than survival thoughts without a belief. There's a thought behind every belief. And when you can become witness to your thoughts and then backtrack them to the belief, you can challenge the belief and change the belief. And what is the core belief that you're going to change? What does it always come back to, students, in first cause? I used to have a big banner up here 30 years ago. You remember it? So those of you who were here? What did it say? God is all there is. So we come back to first cause and we begin to redefine who we are based on that. And it's not an overnight process because we have to retrain our minds because they're like puppy dogs. Our minds are like puppy dogs. You ever had a puppy dog? Boy, I've got one. I had one. I still have one, but now he's not a puppy. When a puppy, you're training a puppy to sit and you stand right over him and say, sit. He will, right? Well, what happens the minute you turn your back? He's off making a mess again. That's just like the untrained mind. It takes time to retrain your mind to think a certain way, to be anchored in first cause, meaning God is, I am, that's the bottom line, that's the truth that I live from, and it shows up in my life every moment of the day. Phew, started to sound like a Baptist minister there for a minute. Okay, now there's a second aspect to who we are as mental beings. That is, we are also emotional beings. Can I get a witness for our emotions? We are emotional beings. And what you need to understand is the relationship between your thinking mind and your emotions is profound. Your emotions are the connectivity or the connective tissue, if you will, between your mind and your body. When you're emotionally aware, your emotions are like reporters, headlines. They'll tell you what's going on in your mind even before you're aware of what's going on in your mind. If you can become so attuned to witnessing your emotions, which you experience in your body, they will tell you what's going on in your mind. And the moment that you are experiencing an emotion, you can breathe into it, be present with it, look, then call forward the thoughts that's creating that emotion and go back and challenge the belief. Challenge the belief. That's what makes us different than many, many other teachings on the planet, is we teach that you can change your beliefs, you change your thoughts, you change your life. As within, so without, as above, as a man or a woman thinketh. It sounds too easy, doesn't it? What I know is this, that I've been 35, 40 years. I discovered science of mind in 1977. So I like to think that it lives in me as much as I live in it. Okay? And it's a constant remembering to remember the one simple truth. Life doesn't get any better than it is in this moment because this is where it's happening. Now, what's the third component of the spirit, mind, body? Oh, there it is. Body. Body. When we can be, number one, we're spiritual beings. When we're aware of our spirituality, we can keep that in tune. If we're a little lax, we can tighten it up. If we're a little too intense with it, we can loosen it. I know there's a great saying that I'm sure you've heard, Dr. Jim probably used it from another time. I love to, our job is to comfort the afflicted and afflict the comfortable. If either sometimes we're a little too lazy in our practices, or we're a little too obsessive. In no place do we see that more than with our physical bodies. Can I get a bit witness for our bodies? Life wouldn't work too well without it, would it? That was supposed to be funny. Life, you need a body, right? Yeah. But what is your body? And I've said this, I think probably last time I was here. Your body is nothing more than a carbon-based, biodegradable, disposable vessel that your soul nature rides around and circumnavigates its journey on the planet. But it no less is the vessel that we live in. And so we need to learn to honor the physical body. Can I get a witness? A lot of people think of their body as a sacred temple, yeah? I think of mine as a reasonably well-maintained religious science youth center. I'm sorry, that was bad. But think about it. If we're mindful and we're present in the moment, and this is such a great practice. If we're mindful and we're present in the moment, we'll be able to give ourselves permission to witness what we put into our mouths. Does Does it require discipline to witness? No, you can do it. It doesn't take a lot of discipline to witness what we put in our mouths. What takes the discipline is to make a choice not to. Yeah? And of course, the other practice is to witness what comes out of our mouth as far as the words that speak, which is the second aspect of body, which we'll talk about in a moment. What about physical, taking care of our bodies physically, not just with our diet, but exercise and all the things that we know we need to do to keep our body fit? Where in your life today, on that string of the guitar, would your body be too loose or a little too tight? Because a lot of us obsess about the body. We obsess about our health. We obsess about so many things. And of course, the TV and the media convinces us that there's something wrong with us all the time, right? And we buy into that. And it's our fault for doing that. And again, that comes back to watching your mind and what you allow to be put in it. When those commercials come on, I mute it on TV. I don't need that crap in my head. Excuse my French. Why do we always blame the French for that? I never got that. So, not too tight, not too loose. Not too obsessive with diet, but don't ignore it. Not too obsessive with exercise. Give yourself a day off, but don't ignore it. And once you become aware that you are the witness to your own thoughts, that you can stand outside of yourself and observe your actions, you realize that there's more than a thinker in you, there's also an observer, a witness, yeah? And when you can witness how you're doing life and be clear enough and courageous enough to challenge it when it's not unfolding the way that you know you would like it to stand in clear enough to challenge it. And if you need help, that's the time to call a practitioner. That's the time to come and get some support from somebody who is not caught up in your drama. And so they can pray with you and to support you and to know the truth with you about you. So the second aspect of body, we've got spirit, we've got mind, we've got body. The second aspect of body is the body of our relationships. We're having a relationship with life, and our body is how we do that. But it's also by means of our body that we have relationships with other bodies, other human beings, yeah? And so, again, it's about becoming witness to how are we doing in managing the body of our relationships. Are we obsessing about some relationships and ignoring others? Are we giving more credence or input to some relationships and not others? Why is there more than one of us on the planet? That's a question. This is audience participation time. Be kind of lonely, yeah. But besides that, it's to give God a good time. No, it's true. I'm not saying that arrogantly, but because there's more than one of us, the infinite does manifest all it is out of itself so it could experience itself, to know itself, to evolve itself. And relationships is how we do that. And when we can keep the body of our relationships in balance, healthy, we'll discover that life as a whole becomes a more joyful, fulfilling, meaningful experience. So that's the message I want to impart to you. What would Buddha say about life? Walk the middle path. Be mindful. Bring your mind back into your body. When you find your mind way out in front of you, which it often is, yeah? Worry, anxiety, there's so many things that our mind could go out in front of us and worry about, and then it reports back to us why we should be all obsessed about it. But we have to discern what we have control over and what we don't have control over. Is anybody here a control freak? Be clear on what you have control over and what you don't, and let go of what you don't. Yeah? How are you breathing? You've got a great spiritual teacher coming in here. You've got great teachers, ministers, practitioners. You got classes coming up soon in the fall. Take advantage of this spiritual community. Let it give you the gifts that will bring your life into balance. But you have a role to play in that. And in the mighty words of the great teacher, the Buddha, not too much, not too little. Not too in, not too out. Not too lofty, not too high, not too low. In the middle. It's just right. That's what Buddha would do, and so can you. Namaste. Thank you. Now? Now, I will not play your guitar. I feel bad about that, Andy. I feel bad about that, but not that bad.
That's all right.
Any children from the 60s here? Don't forget my reverb, Costa. In the recording business, they have an old saying: cover the defects with effects. If you're a musician, you get that. If you're not, don't worry about it. Forget about it. So if you're from this, if you remember the 60s, you remember this song, and I invite you to sing along and let it become your mantra for the day. Love is but a song we sing, fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains ring, make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, you may not know why. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Some may come and some may go, you will surely pass. When the one that left you here returns for us at last, we have but a moment's sunlight faded in the grass. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. One more time. I say, come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both. It's there at your command. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together,
get together, try to love one another right now. Right now, right now, right now.
We're not done. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us, only sky. And imagine all the people living for today. And imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. And no religion too. Imagine all the people sing with me. Like peace, you, oh, you may say that I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. I know someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if we can. No need for greed or hunger. The true brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You, oh, you may say that I'm a dreamer, oh, but I'm not the only one. I know someday you'll join us, and the world will be as one. Take a nice deep breath and imagine the world peopled with individuals like you and me. This is where it starts, when we walk out of these doors. Right here, right now. Imagine. Thank you, God. And so it is. Thank you. Thank you.